The front lines of the Salvation Army run through the tragedies of our world. Whole neighborhoods, complete families were lost when 2 earthquakes hit Mexico City. The Salvation Army in Mexico City reported for duty.
Salvation Army is located in Colonia Morelos. It's one of the main areas of destruction. And we've been working there for 50 years. So we were there already. Captain Reyes and Captain Vera and many other officers started serving food to the people because their homes collapsed. The people were out of their homes. They didn't have any means to do it. So the Army started cooking and helping the people right away. And the people just, when they noticed, they just came to the Army to eat. And we've been helping that way since then.
Just 2 days later, the front lines of international relief supplies arrived. A chartered 727 from the Salvation Army in California. The chapel in the No. 1 Corps became a medical clinic, serving hundreds each day. "24 doctors and nurses from San Diego shared their skills and their love."
Hello, my name is Danny Tirado. I'm the pharmacist here, and I'm from El Centro, California. And I was invited here by this fantastic crew here to help organize this pharmacy. This has been the one experience that I'll never forget. It has totally changed the way I see things now in life. And it's one comment that I keep hearing time after time from everyone in the group. And this has just occurred over just we can say about 4 days. I think it's changed everyone's life.
One year later, the front lines moved south to El Salvador, where earthquakes shook the capital, killing thousands. Dr. Vernon White of Chula Vista headed up the Army's medical mission.
We came through the cities, we saw buildings down, we saw people living in the street in tents, and we arrived just at dusk at the site. We were surrounded by groups of soldiers who helped us to set up the clinic. We did a quick setup in the morning, and we started seeing patients actually the first day we were in San Salvador. We saw approximately 400 patients a day in the clinic, and we started driving the group so hard that people started to break. And I stepped back at that time, and I tried to look and see what it was that we were really doing. And I saw that one of the most valuable things that we were doing was letting the nurses spend a little bit of time with the patients as they were taking vital signs. They'd ask a few questions or say how cute your son is, how cute your daughter is. And I think that it was really this human touch that was very valuable, and one of the most valuable things we did in El Salvador.
Building and rebuilding process takes time, money, and commitment. Lessons the Army's learned over the past 100 years. In January 1887, an Army brigade from Los Angeles invaded a young and untamed San Diego, preaching to the unconverted, but remembering their empty stomachs, too. Today's Salvation Army serves our county from several well-equipped buildings. They've come a long way from rented halls and tents. But it's more than buildings. It's people drawn to the front lines of need, fighting for the dignity of every person. San Diego's oldest program, Caring for Unwed Mothers, is operated by the Salvation Army at its Door of Hope campus. Teenagers, like Vicki, try to escape the past and start over.
In most cases, they have no other place to go. The parents don't want them at home, or there are no parents involved, or they come here sometimes to keep the pregnancy confidential.
Substance abuse was the derelict's disease. Now it's everyone's. More and more young people seek the Army for help with alcohol and drugs, like Jim Roxy.
Yeah, this radio brings back a lot of memories for me. I used to sell radio advertising and be a disc jockey several years ago. And then I got involved in drugs and alcohol. Caused me a lot of problems work-wise and otherwise, which brought me to the Salvation Army, brought me into the program. That was a little over a year ago. And like I told you, now I'm at the facility over at the Bridge House, working here in the store, doing things I like to do. I couldn't say one specific thing made me get involved with drugs and alcohol. It was probably just a lot of little things. Basically, if I had to pinpoint it though, I just wasn't satisfied with myself. Wasn't happy with what I was doing, how I was doing it, or with who I was doing it. So I just used it as an escape, and I got to a point where I just couldn't take any more of that.
Preserving one's dignity gets harder for seniors. Our bodies rust and we lose our friends and loved ones when we're least able to cope. Meet Walt, just one of 1,000 seniors finding a meal and more at the Army's nutrition program.
Why do you come down here?
Well, I lived alone for a lot of years, and my cooking wasn't of the best. And I appreciated getting home-cooked meals.
What do you mean your cooking wasn't the best?
Well, I tried to boil water and I burned it, so I stopped it.
What else can you cook?
What, pardon?
What else can you cook?
What else can I cook? Well, I can cook pretty good ice cream.
Why is it difficult for you to cook?
Well, I am blind, and the only way I can tell when a pan is hot is put my fingers in, and it started getting kind of callous, so I was getting things too hot.
I see. What happens when you come down to the Army?
Well, I get to visit with a lot of people, and I kind of find out which way the wind is blowing, politically and otherwise.
Can you tell me how old you are?
94.
94, that's all.
Well, in a few months I'll be 95.
In today's economy, all of us may wonder what it's like to be out of work and out on the street. The homeless arrive at the Army's emergency lodge and men's shelter with just their clothes and their hope.
Children are afraid. They're scared. All of a sudden they have no home. They've been uprooted. It's the middle of the night. It's a lot of emotion going on.
A lot of times, what are their options at that point?
Coming to the Salvation Army, somebody help me. You know, they're very presence on their faces. Help me. And they're coming hoping that you've got a bed, someplace where they can rest and find some shelter.
The first thing I do that's pertinent is to make the person aware that we do care, to bring them in and make them feel comfortable, to make them aware that they're not alone in this situation.
And that this is a secure place. They're not going to, you know, be subject to the turmoil that they just left on the street. You know, for now, they've got some place to be at peace and at rest for a while and get a good night's sleep, a new perspective on tomorrow with the morning that they didn't have when they came upstairs.
At least 350 are finding refuge tonight in a Salvation Army bed. In the early years, the Army could put up a person in a downtown hotel for just 50 cents. Quite a deal. In 1959, the Army established its own hotel, the Oaks, and Mabel Wheeler, veteran salvationist, became the Army's innkeeper.
Well,
Mabel, what about the lobby?
well, a lobby was the hall. It was the bathrooms right, the door right off of there, and a door that went into my apartment was a closet, and then the door. And so they slept out there, and they did all kind of things out there. And one night I heard a big noise, and I ran out there, and there was a man trying to take some money away from another man out there. And I went back and got my son's toy gun and went out, told him to get going. And he hit that man in the back, knocked him down on the couch. And so I had that gun, and I said, if you don't leave right now, I'm going to shoot you. So he ran down the steps. I kept that gun on my desk, and everybody was afraid of it, like the policeman told me one time. He was there, said, maybe we'll get you some kind of a gun if it's a cap pistol, because everybody's afraid of a woman with a gun. The hotel was open 24 hours a day, and I slept on a couch in the living room, and I had little Dutch windows in the door, and I'd open those little doors and see who was there, and they came in all times of night, and all kinds of people. I still see them. They come up drunk or sober, put their arm around me and give me a kiss on the cheek. How are you, Mabel? And fine. And I had a lady with me the other day, and we was downtown. She said, how can you stand those old dirty people? And I said, well, you know, they're all God's children, and he loves them, so I'm not to judge them. I'm just to love them. And I feel like if more people love people like that, they wouldn't be people like that.
Where are the front lines for people of goodwill? They're in the Civic Center on Thanksgiving, discovering the true meaning of the holiday. They're in the Army's toy shop, helping families find just the right toy for their kids. The front lines may be in a children's home for orphans in Mexico City, or a muddy ravine in San Salvador bringing medicine and hope. The front lines may be a school for abandoned blind children in Jamaica. This Army's message is the same as it was on a street corner in San Diego 100 years ago. God loves you, and so do we.
If I can help somebody as I pass along, if I can cheer somebody with a word or song, if I can show